Did I answer the question? I think so. But only if I was on a deserted island and had nothing else to read. That's a little bit extreme. I'm just saying that my favorite way to end the day is cuddled up next to him reading books. It's very romantic. Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be doing the book addiction book tag. I first saw this from Emily Fox with Books with Emily Fox. I think that's her channel. And I thought it was really interesting and fun. Basically, this is just confirming what I already knew about myself, and that is I'm addicted to books. The question is, how much? Because as I was scrolling through these questions, I was like, no, why would you not ask that? And then I was like, if this is a book about book addiction, I probably am pretty addicted. So let's dig into that. Question number 1. What is the longest amount of time you are comfortable going without picking up a book? I'd probably say 48 hours. Even when I'm like, I'm going to take a break from reading, it's usually no longer than 2 days. I always have the next book picked out, or if not, I have 2 or 3 options to pick out. I always have some sort of audiobook moving, or I have a physical book that I'm reading. So I guess if you're asking how much time do I have between reading a book, the answer is probably 0 time. But there is a little bit of time between one audiobook and the next audiobook, and one physical book and the next physical book. Question number 2, how many books do you carry on your person, physical or device, at one time? So I always have at least 1 audiobook, usually 2 audiobooks. And then as far as physical books go, I don't carry physical books around with me as much as I used to, in the sense that like most of the time I leave the house now, it's to run errands or to go on a walk, and I'm not going to bring a book with me when I know I'm going to be grocery shopping or hanging out with a toddler. But when we go on vacation or we go somewhere where I know I'm going to be sitting, like the doctor's or a dentist, so then I always bring a physical book. And if I'm anywhere near the 75% mark of that book, then I bring 2 physical books in case I finish the physical book. So I'm going to say 2, but that 2 might be 1 audiobook and 1 physical book, or 2 audiobooks, which sounds about right. Because before COVID, before parenthood, it would have been at least 1 physical book and possibly 2 physical books. So yeah, that's about right. Question 3, do you keep every book you buy or receive, or are you happy to pass them on to make space for more? I'm totally happy to pass on books that I didn't enjoy or don't think I'll enjoy to other people. I live near a secondhand bookshop, consignment shop. No, it's not a consignment shop. A secondhand bookshop where I can trade books in and they'll give me credit to buy new books. So I take advantage of that all the time. Also the free little library, I exchange books a lot. So I probably have 3 or 4 shelves devoted to books that I'm like, I probably am not going to keep these. I just want to read through them and have the chance to have read them, and then I'll take them back. So I am totally fine with the idea of getting a book, reading it, and then being like, cool. So I use my bookshelves as a library of sorts, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is that what I'm saying? I think so. 4, how long would you spend in a bookshop on a standard visit? I think this answer is changed a little bit by the fact that I only shop secondhand bookstores. I don't know how long it's been since I've been in a Barnes & Noble and then bought a book. Or like Desert Book is really popular in Utah. Those are the only 2 bookshops that come to my head. Top of my mind, tip of my tongue, whatever the phrase is that I'm looking for. So I'm going to say at least an hour, because usually when I'm picking through secondhand shops, I have to see what my selection is. I gotta know all the no's. I gotta know all the things. I gotta look at all my options. So at least an hour, but like comfortably, I could probably spend 2 hours in a bookshop. Part of that is just because I like the appeal of reading in a bookshop. So part of that is me blatantly taking the time to like read a couple of pages of a novel and enjoy it, and then browsing more books and more books. I could spend a lot of time in bookshops. I don't often have that luxury, but I enjoy it when I do. Question number 5, how much time per day do you actually spend reading? And I'm assuming we're counting audiobooks here because audiobooks are still books. So the math here would be I spend about an hour to an hour and a half on average listening to an audiobook or a podcast or something while I'm doing chores or going on walks or making dinner or whatever. And physical books, like physical reading, probably half an hour before bed. Sometimes it's more, sometimes I'm tired and it's not more. It really just depends on the day. So probably an average of hour and a half to 2 hours a day between listening to an audiobook and reading a physical book. There are definitely days when it's more. If I'm really enjoying the audiobook that I'm listening to, I will go out of my way to do tasks that I know aren't going to require a ton of my attention. So like organizing things or going on long walks and listening to audiobooks. So like there are days when I'll listen to 4 or 5 hours worth of audio. And then there are other days when I'm like, I don't want to listen to anything and I don't really want to read very much. And so the average time would be that 20 to 30 minutes before bedtime. Question 6. Where does the task picking up a book appear on your daily to-do list? The end of the day. For sure, bedtime. Reading is a very cozy thing to me. It helps me relax from the day. It's the last thing I do before I go to sleep. Usually I fall asleep without turning the light off and still holding a book. And in that regard, I haven't changed since I was 10. So Question 7. How many books do you reckon you own in total, including ebooks? 900, probably, including ebooks. Yeah, I'm addicted. Okay, so yes, I probably have, I think last time I counted, I had 850 physical books, which I think has probably grown a little bit since then. And then I think I have 30 or 40 audiobooks. I don't own ebooks because I hate ebooks. So probably 900 is the answer. How many of those do I plan to keep? That's a harder question to answer because, like I said, I have a couple shelves just devoted to reading and then returning, refunding. It's a library. I borrow them and then I give them back to the free little library for free. Okay, words. I probably have only read about a third of the books that I own, and that's definitely something I want to crack down on over the next little while, over the next year. But more on that later. Question 8. Approximately how often do you bring up books in a conversation? I probably only bring up books with people who know me really well or who I know are also readers, just because I can talk forever about books. And if you let me, like I have a whole channel devoted to books, I'll talk your ear off about where I'm at in a book and what my thoughts are on it and da-da-da-da-da-da. So I don't talk books with people that I know aren't interested in the subject or who don't know me super well. So, I mean, since quarantine and me and my husband just hanging out at home, I talk about books a lot because we're both big readers. Did I answer the question? I think so. Question 9. What is the biggest book, page count-wise, you have ever finished reading? That would have to be The Count of Monte Cristo with 1,300 pages. I'll put the exact page number right here. That is the longest book I've ever finished reading, and it took me 6 months to read because it was a long book and it was a classic. I think before The Count of Monte Cristo it would have been Gone with the Wind. Page count here. It was long, but I enjoyed both of those novels. Question 10. Is there a book you had to get your hands on against all odds? I.e. you searched bookstores, online digging, stalked an author, etc. First of all, we do not stalk people. Don't stalk people. Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, and I really wanted to get it secondhand so that I wasn't paying $30 or $40 for a brand new book, and I did successfully at the secondhand bookshop that I live by. And I got it for $8. It was awesome. Most of the time, though, if I'm gonna get a new book, It's going to be via the library, so it's mostly just me being patient and waiting. As far as like new editions and new copies and the way things look, I don't I don't necessarily have the luxury of that because just about all of my books are bought secondhand. So I grab them as I see them. So all of them feel like successful, great buys, but Brandon Sanderson most of all. Question 11. Is there a book you struggled to finish because you refused to DNF? Yes, Jade City by Fonda Lee. And The Starless Sea by Erin Mortensen. Both of those books were really hyped and everybody really loved them. And I just kept reading because I thought things are going to change. They're going to get better. And I should have quit at least by the 50% mark because I didn't like listening to either one of them. I didn't like reading them. I probably liked The Starless Sea more than I liked Jade City, but only because the writing was more beautiful. But it was also very literary and everything was a metaphor for another metaphor. And I quickly lost track and I just should have stopped. I would be tempted to give The Starless Sea a second try, but only if I was on a deserted island and had nothing else to read. That's a little bit extreme. I would probably give it a second try if I happened to find it in a secondhand bookshop and I felt like spending money on it. No, I take it back. I don't think I'll give that book another try. It was too all over the place and weird for me. And I'm not a careful enough reader to have gotten all the details. Question 12. What are 3 of your main book goals for 2021 if you've started planning? Goal number 1, I want to read more of the books that I physically own. So I'm making a concerted effort to read the other 2/3 of the books that I haven't read. Most of the books that I own, like I have 4 shelves devoted to children's novels that I picked up for my daughter, which I loved growing up. And then I have lots of books that I love, but then I also have a ton of classics and then a ton of more modern books that I pick up from the Free Little Library that look interesting to me. So, okay, that was just a really long-winded way of saying I want to read more of the books that I actually own. Goal number 2 is to DNF books that I am not enjoying and not liking, because there are a lot of books in the world, and there's no point in forcing yourself to read a book that you are not enjoying and that you hate. And goal number 3 is to read more outside the main genre that I spend a lot of time with. I spend a ton of time with YA fantasy, and I kind of want to push beyond that to read more biographies, more nonfiction, more thrillers, more mysteries, basically anything else besides YA. I do love YA, but also I want to push my own boundaries and my own reading bubble just a little bit more. Question 13. Have you ever had the privilege of converting someone into a reader by inspiration or by your incessant nagging? Yes, 2 people actually. So my husband was a reader when we got married, but he didn't sit down to just read a book just for the fun of it, because I spend a lot of time reading, and I spend a lot of time reading, and so he now will pick up a book and sit down next to me and read. And he's finished a lot of books, and we have a lot of really fun conversations now. Not that we didn't have fun conversations before, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that my favorite way to end the day is cuddled up next to him reading books. It's very romantic. And then the second person is my daughter, because we like to read books together, and she likes to look at pictures, and we like to go to the library every week and pick out new books. And I mean, I don't know that she had a lot of hope of not liking books, because she's my daughter, and I have a pretty heavy influence when it comes to books, I feel like, because I'm obsessed, as we've established. So I'm excited to see how that works out for her. Final question, question 14. Describe what books mean to you in 5 words. Safety, escape, home, study, because I like to learn new things, and answers. That is all I have for this book tag. I will talk to you all in the comments down below and in another video. Bye!
you.